you're so lucky to be in Canada, where you can be different, you can be proud of your heritage, yet you can still achieve whatever you want. And if you work hard at it, this is a country that will reward you. My name is Harnarayan Singh, and I currently am a host and play-by-play commentator for Hockey Night in Canada Punjabi, host with Sportsnet and also Flames TV Punjabi. And I was born in Wetaskiwin, Alberta, which is on the outskirts of Edmonton. And I grew up in a small town in southern Alberta, Brooks, Alberta, where I went to school for all the way up until grade 12. And yeah, hockey was my passion, also music, and so those two things have kind of led me to where I am today. Growing up in Alberta in the 80s, the Oilers and the Flames were very strong teams at the time, and it's something you couldn't escape. I mean, my sisters were already into hockey, so it was on in our household, and I was very early on given a lot of hockey gifts in terms of mini hockey sticks and wearing a lot of hockey pajamas and shirts and things like that. And so I developed a passion for the game. It's a very entertaining game. But then also, because of my personality where I talk a lot, the broadcasting side was always of interest to me. And I don't know how this happened, but I was, early on imitating the commentators on TV, or also making my own podium and hosting the NHL awards and kind of choosing my own players who I thought should win that year. So that's hockey was also something that helped my experience at school, because I was one of the very few visible minorities in Brooks, Alberta, having to answer a lot of questions about my appearance as to why do you wear a turban, or we spoke a different language at home and listened to different music. And so growing up in pretty much an all Caucasian town of 10,000 where my family was completely different, it was a very unique experience. And hockey was kind of the icebreaker, and it allowed me to create friendships with classmates that probably wouldn't have been friends with me had it not been for hockey. Develop a rapport with teachers that I wouldn't have had. So if I reflect back, had it not been for hockey, my childhood in southern Alberta would have been completely different. Well, growing up, I had this as a dream that I want to be a hockey commentator. I want to be a part of Hockey Night in Canada. And I'm very fortunate to have parents who've always supported me along the way, but there's been other people, whether they were teachers or other professionals who I encountered growing up, who were trying to they were trying to caution me in terms of my dream, of how unrealistic it was. First and foremost, how I looked at the time. There's no examples of anybody on TV who looked remotely close to somebody from my community. And then also the fact that we were from small town southern Alberta, and the fact that this industry, broadcasting, television, is very competitive. You could say cutthroat, and you could say the opportunities are very slim because there's such few jobs out there in this industry. So just, I encountered people who would kind of try to curtail those dreams and try to tell me to be realistic. But, my parents recognized that this was a passion, and they said, go for it. And they said that they would support me, and they did. And then they also said that, you're young enough that if it doesn't pan out, you can switch gears and go into something else. So, hockey, it's one of those things that I was very fortunate to be able to have the dream kind of pan out after, and to answer the question about what was the point where I realized that it was possible. So in the town of Brooks, the local radio station, which was a country music radio station, Q13 Radio, I was given an opportunity by the manager there, who still is the manager of the radio station there how many years later, John Petrie. my friend in high school, he was doing some stuff on the radio for reporting for the high school in terms of news and sports, and I also got the opportunity to do that. And that's when it dawned on me that, okay, here I am in a town of, all Caucasian people, yet I was given an opportunity and welcomed on the radio station. And I was like, if I've been given the opportunity here, then what's not to say that I might be given an opportunity in the future? So that was the moment when I realized, okay, maybe this dream is actually possible and that I can pursue it as a reality and a possibility. Well, for Hockey Night Punjabi, we incorporate the characteristics of the community, and the community loves to laugh. They love their music, they're loud, they like their food. All sorts of characteristics from the community is what you'll find in any given game that is being broadcast in Punjabi. So, something happens in the play, we'll incorporate the lyrics of a popular Punjabi song. Somehow, some way or another, we're going to reference some sort of Punjabi, popular dish or chai tea that's going to get thrown in there, or just the humor and also Punjabi music in terms of goal calls. I like to incorporate, they call it a hake in Punjabi, where the singers try to throw out a note as long as possible. So I've incorporated that in my calls, and just having a lot of fun. Sports is about fun and entertainment, so the feedback that we get from the community is those are the aspects that they really enjoy. Broadcasting is important because it's a way to send a message, and it's a way to connect with thousands and thousands of people. Whether that message is about entertainment, which is what hockey is, about having fun, about a sport, but also about breaking down a barrier. I mean, I've had the opportunity to be a part of some English broadcasts this season, and I think from the feedback that I received too on social media, I was very lucky that it was pretty much all positive. And for someone who may not have ever met a Sikh before, and they might have some misconceptions out there, maybe they can look at it as from that perspective that, hey, this guy can speak pretty good English, and he seems to have done his research, and so he's just as Canadian as I am. And I think we're very fortunate to live in a country where we invite people to succeed regardless of who they are. And my story is an example of that Canada gave me the opportunity, and I'm really grateful for it. So broadcasting is a number of things. It's that entertainment factor, it's that information factor, but it's also being able to spread a message. It's been huge. From day one, I couldn't have anticipated how important this show has become to the community. First and foremost, we hear from the community to this day about how proud it makes them feel. To have this type of show at such a high level in Canada, it makes the community feel like they've made it. It makes them feel like they belong to Canada. And secondly, there's a lot of families out there who tell us that this is a way for their young kids to connect to their heritage, that families who speak Punjabi today in their households, they might think about the future, but are the kids going to maintain these languages? Personally for me, like, I grew up hearing stories in school that a native language, like for example the Beowulf native language, the last person who ever knew how to speak that language, I remember sitting in school hearing that grandmother had passed away, and along with her, a whole language, a culture, a heritage that passed away. So I'm really passionate about knowing multiple languages, and that. And so we hear from families that kids are connecting with their culture and heritage because of it. Grandparents, it's amazing to see how many grandparents are so thankful, grateful, passionate about the show. They say that the kids who are born here, there's a lack of communication, there's a disconnect technologically, culturally, a language barrier. There's all sorts of issues. But now that grandparents are able to participate in Canada's favorite sport, then their grandchildren are watching with them, and the grandkids think it's cool that Babaji or Dadaji, Naniji are watching the game, right? And so that's something we've heard, that it's become a tradition in households that families sit together and watch the show. It's bringing like 3 generations together. It's a way for you to express yourself. I've always loved the blue color, and like a navy blue turban has always been my thing since I was growing up. But lately I've incorporated a lot of grays as well, a lot of different bluish grays, or even threw out a teal turban one day. It's fun because you're able to, instead of just the suit, tie, the pocket square, you're able to incorporate the turban. So there's more planning and coordination involved than the next guy on television. But it's a way to, like I said, express yourself, but you can have fun with it. And I think in the last few years I've kind of taken more of a deep dive into having fun with style and suits and colors and things like that. I would have to say that a lot of who I am is influenced from the Sikh scriptures, and one of the things that I really liked to try to do every day is be thankful and grateful, and try to be as humble as I can, because I really feel that the blessings that I've been given in my life, they weren't from my doing. It was my parents' hard work, their prayers, and they went through the tough times. Coming here in the 60s, teaching in a small town in southern Alberta, people didn't know what a turban was, let alone seeing one. But being able to maintain their heritage. I mean, being vegetarian in that town is crazy. It was the biggest meat packing plant in North America at one time. And then going through all sorts of hardships in terms of racism, but being alone in that town for so long, but the way they were able to still maintain their heritage and faith, but then also not just teach it to us, but create an environment where it was just natural. They incorporated music and history, and I'm really grateful to them that they were able to do all that, and I feel that it's through their blessings, their prayers, that I was able to have all of these dreams come true.